Hi creatives, I am Dimma and you're welcome to another interesting sewing tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to sew this beautiful corset dress with a curved waistline. The last tutorial was a drafting tutorial of this very dress. This one is strictly a sewing tutorial and I'll show you how I structured this dress and the bell sleeve and everything that you can see in this tutorial. Let's get right into it. So these are the patterns that we made in the last tutorial. The midriff, the upper part of the corset, the skirt part, and I've gone ahead to cut the lining and everything, which we did in the last tutorial. I'll put the link in the description box so that you can see it if you want to. And of course, you will need to if you have not, so that you will understand everything that I am doing in this particular tutorial. So this one is the midriff, okay? And what I used to stabilize this midriff is hairstay. I put 3 piles of hairstay on the fabric part, which is the crepe, and I also applied, that is this tissue paper stay, not like the gum stay, the lighter version of the gum stay. That is what I used for the lining. So you can see the hairstay. One part stretches really nicely, and that is the part I kept along the part that the crepe stretches. Okay, if you do it this way, the crepe will maintain its stretch. I did the same thing for the linings. I ensured that I used the pepper stay, not the gum stay, right? A pepper stay, okay, that is a bit light, is light, and it also has a part that stretches. Now, having said that, this is the upper part of this corset, the cup side. You can see the shape and you can see how I applied my wadding and how I avoided the seam lines on the bust and on the neckline while applying the wadding. So you can see the wadding I used here. This is the one that will be for the fabric. That is the crepe part, the fabric part. I know that this is self-lined, but the lining part of this is a thicker wadding. This fabric part that I'll be placing the this chantilly lace on is made, structured with a lighter kind of wadding. The wadding I used here is different from the one I used for the lining part of the crepe fabric. The lining part has a thicker version of the wadding, while this fabric part has a lighter wadding. I hope you understand what I mean. You know, wadding has the thicker version and the lighter version. Not like the thicker one is very thick, but of course it's thicker than the one I used on the fabric part. I'll go ahead and start joining all of this together. Now this is the cup which I joined first, observing my notches. With your notches, you're going to stitch this perfectly and without any stress. So this is the lining part, and you can see how I stitched and top stitched along the princess cut bust line. You can see how it's looking nice already, even while still in the process of putting it together. So what I have here is the lining and the fabric. So this lining, I will still go ahead and cut another one on the lining piece, okay? Because this very one, I am going to join it like this and then form boning channels on it. So this is going to serve as a fabric, even that it is joined like this, because it's going to form a boning casing. I hope you understand. Just don't worry, in the process of making this, you understand what I mean by cutting extra midriff, extra parts of this that I'm showing now for the lining part of this dress. Now, having said that, you can see what I have now. I have, stitched and made 1/2 inch channels for the boning. You can see it right here, and I've gone ahead to put my bonings in. Okay, I inserted from the lower part and I stitched up the upper part. I'll show you what I did to insert this boning. Ensure that you measure your bone. Okay, what I use is ridgeline bone. Ensure that you measure it before you stitch these bone channels. You can see what I'm doing right here. You can see I am checking the measurement of the boning channels to ensure that it matches with the channels that I created so that it will not be too tight or too loose. Okay, like if you have 1/2 inch, it is advisable that you make your channel like 5/8 inch. I hope you understand. Just add like 1/8 inch to whatever you have, or 1/16 is even nice if you can maintain that, channel space is very, very important. So if you have 1/2 inch, just add 1/8 or 1/16 to it, and then use it to create your boning channel. So you can see how I'm matching my notches. Okay, after putting up all of these bonings, I now had to place this upper part that I stitched earlier, observing the under bust notches. Very, very important. Observe it while stitching this. Is going to make your clothes come out really nicely. So these are the boning channels, and I'm going to show you how to put it in. Okay, I created the same boning channels I did in front at the back, and here I'm going to show you what I did. So I had to tape. I used masking tape to tape down the rough edge of the boning so that it will easily slide into that space. If you don't do this, it will be a little bit of struggle to push it in. So but when you tape that mouth, you can easily put in this boning into the channel. So that is what I am doing again. I am just taping down the tip with masking tape, and I will go ahead and put it in just like this and trim off any excess. Please observe how I put it in. While putting it in, I ensured that this ridgeline bone did not get the seam allowance. Yes, that is what I did, so that it doesn't disturb my stitches. Even on this upper side, it did not get to the, already I have stitched a line before inserting it on this upper part. So here I will match. You can see how I matched it up, to be able to stitch it nicely. This way the two cups will rhyme. Ensure you use your notches so that your cups and everything you stitch will rhyme. So you can see this little dart on the skirt. I ensured that I stitched it as well. Very, very important. Okay, so make sure you stitch it as well. As tiny as it is, I still stitched it down on the crepe, and then I draped my chantilly on it. Do the same. Nobody will even notice that there is a dart on the skirt there. Now this is going to help to keep all the body shapes intact. Okay, so right now I am going to match the notch again, middle to middle, and I will pin it down and stitch from center towards the side along the curve, and from center again towards the side along this curve. Now after stitching, this is what I have, and this is the front part. As you can see, I'll go ahead and stitch the lining the same way. Trim off any extra thread that you see so that your work will appear really nice and neat. Now this is the lining piece, and you can see that I've put it together. There is no boning on the lining piece, so I've put it together, and all I will have to do right now is to ensure that I join it together on the neckline. So having done all of this, I'll face it on the front side, right sides facing each other for the lining and the fabric part. I'm going to place it like this and stitch the neck. Please, I structured this neckline. You can see that you can use gum stay. You can also use the pepper stay that I said to structure your neckline. Okay, so I am cutting, making notches on the neckline. I always like to do this, and I'm going to top stitch after this. This process makes your seam relax and look flat and really neat. So I'm going to top stitch on both sides, top stitch from that center V towards the shoulder, and from center V again towards the shoulder. So this is what I have. After joining it together, you can see that the dart is also on the lining. I always ensure that I put everything that should be put in place in their right place. So you can see what the back looks like, and that's the yoke of the back. I just joined it together and put the loop there, and I will be joining it like this to the back part. Okay, so this midriff have a lining part. You can see it in front. I forgot to mention that, and at this back as well, this midriff has another part that will join to the lining piece of this fabric. Okay, that means I cut the lining. For the lining fabric, I cut this midriff two for each side. Okay, two for the lining piece in front and two for the lining piece in back, so that one will add add act as a boning casing with the fabric piece. I hope you understand. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to say. And you can see the skirt part, I also cut that lining piece for this skirt part. Okay, but that one is single layer. The midriff is double because I used one to make up the boning casing. Okay, I hope you understand. So having done this, I'm going to place the skirt part like this and then stitch it down. So I'm also going to observe the notches for the zipper allowance and stitch it down. I like to mark this, really important, because by the time we turn it up with the by the time we stitch it down, you will not be able to see those allowances except you go back to be peeping them, and you may make mistakes. So always mark your seam allowances so that it will be visible even after you have joined your seam together. So this is what I have, and you can see the lining piece, you can see that midriff. That is what I mean. Okay, I have a lining piece for that midriff again. Okay, then the skirt lining which I joined to the midriff of the back. This is the same process I used for the front as well. So I'm going to place this, and then I'm going to turn it with the lining. I hope you understand. I'm going to place it like this and stitch it down and then notch and top stitch. So when I do that, I will continue with the whole process of putting this beautiful corset dress together. So after joining this is what I have, and you can see that we are almost getting to the end of this tutorial. So what I'll do is you can see the top stitch, just go ahead and iron and everything will lay flat for you. Okay, so after ironing, the next thing to do will be to just join along the zipper allowance. Watch how I am placing this. So you can see my zipper allowance, you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to take my measurement and make sure that I start from around the hip line and stitch to where I want my slit to start from. I hope you understand. So when I've closed this, the next thing to do is to put my zipper. Okay, so you can see what the side looks like. So it's good to join the side seamlessly. So I'm going to join it like this, lining to lining and fabric to fabric. So I'm making my notch visible there. So I'm going to stitch lining to lining and fabric to fabric. Now this is the fabric part, and I'm going to observe my notches and close it up. I hope you understand. I decided to close it up before you can see what I have. I've pinned everything down. So ensure you pin. This pin makes you have more control. Okay, you make sure you use your dressmaking pins if you know you cannot control the movements of the fabric. This makes you to be more in control of what you're doing. Okay, so you can see that I've stitched the fabric part down. So that is how you're going to do yours. I'm going to take care of that armhole part later. So you do the same thing for the lining. So you stitch it lining to lining. You can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to use the lining to close up all the rough seam on the fabric, all the seams of the fabric. Let me not say rough, but all the seam of the fabric. I want the inside to look seamless. Watch how I am describing how to put the shoulder between the fabric and the lining of the front. Now this is how you're going to pin your shoulder, and ensure is like this. Turn it over like this and stitch. Okay, so that is how you're going to stitch it. And you can see here I've stitched it down, I've stitched everything down. You can see how the inside is looking neat, the inside is even looking wearable. You can see the sides and how all of the curves are matching even on the sides. So this is looking really nice. This dress is so beautiful, trust me. So at this point I decided to put my zipper. You could have still put it at that first instance, okay, before joining the sides, but I decided to leave it till the stage though, so which is also nice. Just feel free to do you. So I'm going to follow the seam line, the seam allowance for the zipper allowance, and just stitch down the zipper like this. I'll stitch this side and stitch the other side just on the fabric. So you can see that I've stitched it down on the fabric. Watch closely and you see what you understand everything I'm doing. So having stitched it down on the fabric, I'll go ahead and place the zipper like this and turn over like the lining like this, and then stitch down the zipper as well, so that the zipper will be between the lining and the fabric, and everything is going to look neat and seamless. Okay, so when I do that, I'm show you every bit of what to do. You can as well go ahead and close up this down part of this lining before you turn over the lining piece. Just feel free to take the sequence that you please. So here I just measured where my slit will get to, and I gave a curve like that. I'm just here throwing the lower part. I gave the curve, and you'll understand later why I gave this curve, okay, so that this lining will not show through the slit for any reason. So right now this is what I have, and I have to go ahead and place it like this, mark, and then stitch down here. Okay, so I stopped where the zip is going to stop and then stitch down to where the curve of the slit is. So here I've stitched down just as I explained earlier, and you can see what everything looks like, looking neat and nice. You can see I will turn it inside out for you to see what the back looks like. So you can see that slit and what it looks like. Nothing will make it come out from the slit, the opening of the slit. So I will fold in this part of the lining, the hem, and yes, you can see how beautiful our dress is. The only thing remaining at this stage is the sleeve. I know this tutorial is already long, and I will just go ahead and give a brief explanation of the sleeve, but maybe I'll post the sleeve as well in a different tutorial so that you will understand every process of making the sleeve. But nevertheless, I'm going to explain it partly or more like completely in this tutorial. But if for any reason you do not understand it really well, or you feel you need it in a detailed tutorial, just wait for my next tutorial, because I'll be uploading this bell sleeve. So this is what I have. I've already made the pattern of the basic sleeve that I'll be using for this bell sleeve, and the length is 24.5. Feel free to choose the length that you please. Okay, so now I had to go up there. I had to mark around 18 inches or 17 inches from the cap, and I ruled this line. So watch how I cut it open. Okay, that is how to make this bell sleeve. So you cut it open like this, and I had to go ahead and fold my chantilly like this and cut it out. I spread this lower part by about 2.5 inches, and watch how I am cutting this part of the sleeve and cut the hem as well. So that is what our sleeve looks like, and it's as easy as this. I'll go ahead and stitch close this open sides, and this is what it gave me. The next step is just to hem it with the crinoline, okay, or horsehair. So once we do that, this is the crinoline I have. I'm here just checking the one that will be okay based on what I have handy, and I felt the white one is really better, so I had to measure out what I needed with the crinoline itself and cut it out. Now I closed up the tip of the crinoline with the pieces from my crepe fabric. So what I have here is 3.5 by 2 inches. Okay, that's the dimension of what I used. This crinoline is 2 inches crinoline. So you can see that I have stitched it down on this hem. I'm going to fold it in like this and stitch it down again. Okay, and that will give us this beautiful sleeve that I will go ahead and fix on the dress. Please, if for any reason you do not really understand the explanation of this bell sleeve, just come with me on the next tutorial and I'll just post it on its own, a detailed tutorial on this lovely bell sleeve. Okay, so this is the finished dress and it's looking so lovely. Trust me, this video did not even do justice to the beauty of this dress. It's so gorgeous. And now this is the end of our tutorial for today, and I will see you all in my next one. Love you all. Bye.